Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. I hope you all are having a good week. I'm extra happy today because we finally got a cool front here in Texas. That makes me happy because it's been hella hot. I am Teri True Crime, and welcome to another episode of Midday Missing, where we shine a light on current missing person cases that deserve more attention. True Crime and Wine Time Productions is now TCWT Media. We are dedicated to bringing you compelling true crime content in a safe and supportive community. We're growing and evolving to bring you even more engaging content, but rest assured, all your favorite shows will continue just under a new name. Currently, under our TCWT Media umbrella, we produce a wide range of shows. True Crime and Wine Time, which is our flagship podcast, The Hey Ho Show, The Investigation into the Disappearance of Chase Lackey, Night Court, The Transcripts, Women on Death Row, Dearest Mother's Darkest Secrets, our newest series, and of course, Midday Missing. And guys, stay tuned because we have more series that will be coming soon. We stream live several days a week, so make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's completely free, so you do not miss out on any updates or live shows. Currently, Midday Missing is the only show that does and will stay on Facebook and YouTube. Some of our shows are just on YouTube, so you're definitely going to want to go over there and subscribe. Now, for those of you who want even more content and to support our work, consider becoming a TCWT Media member. Membership includes early access to select shows and episodes before anyone else, exclusive content like behind the scenes footage, bonus episodes, and member only live chats. We also have special badges emojis to use during live streams and in comments, letting everyone know that you're a part of our TCWT family. And to become a member, you simply click the join button on our YouTube channel page. Your support means the world to us and helps us continue creating the content that you love. Now let's get into today's cases. Today, both cases are out of California, and that was not planned. It just happened that way. Today, we are discussing a case that has haunted investigators and Jack's loved ones for nearly 3 decades. This is the story of Jack Daniel Phillips, who disappeared on August 6th, 1995, at the age of 9 from San Bernardino, California. Jack also went by JT or JD. I guess JT is always on my mind, but he went by JD, and he was just a boy of 9 when he vanished under mysterious circumstances during a family trip near Big Bear Lake. It was a typical California summer, and Jack was with his family, his younger half brother, his mother, and her live in boyfriend. And they were at the Aspen Glen picnic grounds, which is near the scenic Big Bear Lake. Now, guys, Jack had no known history of running away, which makes what happened even more unsettling. According to witnesses, Jack had gotten into a disagreement with his mother and her boyfriend that day. And guys, it's nothing unusual for families who go on long outings and go camping to have typical arguments. I can tell you, we grew up camping, fishing, and arguments happen. Okay. But Jack was tired of it that day. And he told a witness that he was fed up with the fighting and the arguing. And after that, he began walking towards the picnic area and then he vanished. And it was between 5 and 5:30 when he was last seen. The picnic grounds and the surrounding area were thoroughly searched, of course, first by the family and then by law enforcement. Guys, there was no sign of Jack. He disappeared without a trace. And as I say, there is no such thing as aliens coming down and picking people up. I will say if you're out camping and there's not a lot of other families around you, it is possible for someone to be taken and not seen. Jack was wearing a black tank top, gray shorts with the Tasmanian Devil logo on the leg, white socks, and white tennis shoes. He had brown hair, brown eyes, and he stood just about 4 feet tall, and he weighed 72 pounds. He also had distinguishing features. He had a scar on his left cheek and freckles on his face. But despite his unique appearance and them searching, no one has seen him again. Now, days later, a small, strange lead emerged. A family friend in Bakersfield, California, received an automated collect call. Guys, I'm going to probably be aging myself, but do you remember collect calls when if you didn't have money at a payphone, you could call collect? I was like, I remember those days. Um, this friend believed she recognized Jack's voice on the line, but the call was abruptly disconnected before she could confirm if it was truly him. And guys, this lead went nowhere. There was no way to trace the call at that time, and Jack's whereabouts still remain a mystery. To this day, no one knows for sure what happened to Jack. His father, who was in prison at the time, was not considered a suspect. Neither were his mother or her boyfriend. Despite early hopes, no solid leads have ever surfaced. However, a name that has become synonymous with suspicion in this case is James Crummel. Crummel is a convicted child killer and violent sexual predator, and he was living just blocks away from the Aspen Glen picnic area at the time Jack disappeared. And guys, his history is a terrifying one. In 1967, Crummel was convicted of abducting and assaulting a 14-year-old boy in Wisconsin. Although he was sentenced to 30 years in prison, he served only 5. Okay, guys, here it comes. What in the hell? Why sentence someone to 30 years and then only make them serve 5? Plus, is 30 years enough time for abducting and assaulting a child? I mean, maybe if he would have went and spent the entire 30 years, I would feel okay with it. But I don't know what was going on then, but I thought you had to serve at least 50% of the time. But 5 years is not enough, okay? And over the years, his violent tendencies towards boys Jack's age only escalated. Imagine that. He was linked to the 1979 disappearance of a 7-year-old boy, Charles Christopher Francis, in Santa Ana, California. Guys, Crummel was a predator. Investigators believe that on that August day in 1995, Crummel may have targeted Jack. And according to reports, Crummel allegedly confessed to killing Jack while talking to a cellmate. Investigators think Crummel may have disposed of Jack's body in the ocean, but no body has ever been recovered. Now, in 1997, Crummel was charged with the murder of 13-year-old James Wilfred Trotter, who went by Jamie, and he was a boy who had gone missing in 1979. Crummel discovered Jamie's skull in 1990, though it wasn't identified until years later. So that, normally you look at the person who finds the body, you definitely should look at them when they have a history and you find a skull. In 2004, Crummel was convicted of Jamie's murder and he was sentenced to death. But in 2012, Crummel took his own life while he was on death row. Guys, this leaves behind a lot of questions. No confessions, no closure. Was he truly involved in Jack's case? We don't know. While foul play is strongly suspected in Jack's case, Crummel's death means we may never know the full truth. And there are so many unanswered questions. I mean, what happened to Jack that day? He just walks off. I mean, I can think of how many times I've walked off while we're camping and been like, hey, I'm going to just take a little walk. I need to breathe. And then something happened, you know? And Today is nearly 30 years later. Jack Daniels Phillips is still missing and his case is unsolved. And guys, it's cases like Jack's, he was 9, that remind us how fragile life can be and how important it is that we never forget those who've gone missing. But despite the years passing, his family still holds on to hope that one day they will learn the truth about what happened. And we owe it to Jack and a family like his to keep telling these stories. So if you have any information that could help bring closure to Jack's family or aid in this investigation, please contact the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department at 909 387 3690. Guys, 9 years old. He would be 39 today, and his family doesn't know what happened. I know this may sound weird, but I hope his body wasn't disposed of in the ocean because then it won't be found. Hopefully, someone hiking, walking, or something will find it, or a flood will happen so that his family gets some answers. Now, like I said, our next case is also in California, and it's also another young girl. So, our second case today has baffled investigator for decades, about a young girl in Walnut Creek, California. She vanished one September evening in 1976. This is the disappearance of Lisa Dickinson. Lisa was just 9 years old when she disappeared on September 5th, 1976. That evening, like so many others, she set off on her red Raleigh 10-speed bicycle, which was a familiar sight in her neighborhood. Guys, when I was that age, I was riding my bike around everywhere too. I didn't have a red one, I had a pink Huffy because, of course, it was pink. Now, Lisa was headed to the nearby BART station. For those of you who are not familiar, the BART station is the Bay Area Rapid Transit. So it is the bus that can connect you to San Francisco, the peninsula from the East Bay and the South Bay. Took it often when we lived there. But guys, she never made it back home. And her family expected her home by 8 p.m. But by 9 p.m., there was still no sign of Lisa. So her parents called the Walnut Creek Police Department. Now, guys, I have to tell you, when first looking at this case, I said to Double H, I'm like, who lets their 9-year-old ride their bike to the BART station? And he had to remind me, it was 1976. We did those things then. I would ride to the grocery store, the little corner store, Uvalde Superette, which was about 2.5 miles from my house when I was that age. So definitely a different time than it is now, which is sad that our children and our grandchildren can't do that. I don't let Monkey Butt or Action Jackson out of my view when they're outside, you know. Now, Lisa's disappearance sent shockwaves throughout the Walnut Creek community. Walnut Creek is a very nice area, very community oriented, and they were shocked that this happened. Now, Lisa was described as a petite, blonde haired, blue eyed girl. She was 4'10" and she weighed 80 pounds. On the day she went missing, she was wearing a yellow crew neck t shirt with the word happiness on it, along with a cartoon of Snoopy. Okay, I love Snoopy. Blue cutoff shorts and white leather sandals. Guys, despite this bright outfit, the hours ticked by with no signs of her. However, around 10 p.m., a chilling discovery was made. Lisa's red Raleigh bike was found abandoned in a grove of walnut trees at Heather Farm Park, which is just a short distance from the Contra Costa Canal. But Lisa was nowhere to be found. However, witnesses reported seeing Lisa near the entrance to the park that evening, but they said nothing seemed out of the ordinary at the time. But one of the most crucial pieces of information came from several witnesses who reported seeing a Caucasian man on a motorcycle around 7:30 p.m. that night near Heather Farm Park, which was not far from where her bike was found. The man was described as being in his early 40s with brown curly hair, mustache, and a chunky build. But guys, what's even more unsettling is that a young girl was reported who was between the ages of 8 and 12 was riding with him, and she was wearing a white helmet. Guys, first thought, could that have been Lisa? I mean, and if it was, did she know the guy on the motorcycle? And was she sitting in front of the man on the bicycle, or was she sitting on the back? And I ask that because if you're on the back, you have to hold on. And if she didn't know him, I could see him putting her in front of him so he could hold on to her. Now, years later, a man named Luis Richard Fresquez would come to the attention of law enforcement in connection with Lisa's case. Fresquez was a convicted sex offender who was imprisoned for his crime between 1987 and 2002. Guys, these people do not change. I I mean, I know they do their time, but we got to figure out something, okay? Because obviously they keep doing stuff. But in 1976, when Lisa disappeared, Fresquez was 34 years old. So he matched the age and the physical description of the man on the motorcycle. Because, guys, he was like 5'5" and weighed about 140 pounds, and he had black hair and brown eyes. Now, he did become the prime suspect in Lisa's disappearance. However, guys, despite the suspicion, there has not been enough evidence to charge him. To this day, Fresquez remains a key figure in the investigation, but no concrete evidence has emerged linking him directly to the crime. And Lisa's case remains open. And guys, it's one of the many unsolved disappearances from that time. We didn't have the cameras that we have now. We didn't have social media. We didn't have cell phones. I mean, times were just different. It's been over 40 years since Lisa Dickinson disappeared. For her family, the pain of not knowing what happened to their little girl still lingers. And guys, it's a weight no family should ever have to bear. Every year, new developments are hoped for. But this case is unsolved and cold. So the Walnut Creek Police Department continues to investigate, but they need more than hope, guys. They need answers and they need tips. They need leads. So if you know something from back in that time, or if a family member or a friend said, oh, yeah, I had something to do with it, please call and tell. If you have any information regarding Lisa's disappearance, you are urged to contact the Walnut Creek Police Department at 925 943 5844. And guys, as we remember Lisa and Jack today, we also need to remind ourselves of the many missing children across the country whose stories are still waiting to be told. What is sad, we could probably do two cases every day of the week, 365 days a year. And I don't think we would run out of content for a bit because people still go missing every day. So I'm also going to urge you all, please share the missing person flyers from our social media pages. Let's get their stories out. Think about it, 30 and 40 years of not knowing what happened to your 9-year-old child. Guys, I can't imagine going an hour without knowing what happened to a 9-year-old. Okay. So it has been a while since I shared a short story, and I felt like sharing another story today about whiskers. I know I try to give y'all tips and stuff, but needed something just a little bit more lighthearted. So, once upon a time, in a quaint little village nestled between rolling hills and a shimmering river, there lived a cat named Whiskers and her best friend, a duck named Quackers. Whiskers was as curious as they come, with a sleek coat of fur as black as midnight and eyes that glistened like two golden coins. Quackers, on the other hand, was a jolly little duck with a bright yellow bill and feathers that always seemed a bit too fluffy for his tiny body. The two friends were inseparable, and they were always getting into the most ridiculous adventures. One sunny afternoon, as the pair lounged by the riverbank, Whisker spotted something intriguing in the distance. "Quackers, look!" she exclaimed, pointing a paw towards a peculiar contraption sitting in the middle of a field. It was a shiny, tall object with a large, round opening at the top. Quackers tilted his head, squinting his beady eyes. "What in the world is that?" he quacked, but his voice was filled with excitement. Without a moment's hesitation, Whiskers bounded over to the mysterious object, her tail flicking with anticipation, and Quackers waddled behind, trying to keep up with his energetic feline friend. When they reached the object, Whiskers circled it, sniffing the air with great curiosity. "I think it's some sort of magical port," she declared. Quackers, always a bit more cautious, took a step back. "Are you sure it's not just an old well, Whiskers? My uncle once got stuck in a well for 3 days, and it was not magical at all." "Nonsense," Whiskers purred, her curiosity getting the better of her. "Only one way to find out." And with that, she leaped onto the rim of the object, peering down into the darkness below. Quackers flapped his wings nervously. "I don't know, Whiskers. It looks deep and a bit scary." Whiskers turned to him with a mischievous grin. "Don't be such a scaredy duck. Watch this." Before Quackers could protest, Whiskers gave a mighty push with her hind legs and jumped into the opening. There was a loud whoosh, followed by a clattering noise as Whiskers tumbled down what seemed like an endless tube. Quackers quacked in alarm and waddled over to the edge, peering down with wide eyes. "Whiskers, are you okay?" he quacked, his voice echoing down the tube. A moment later, he heard Whisker's voice, slightly muffled. "Quackers, you've got to see this. It's a slide." "A slide?" Quackers echoed in disbelief. "Yes, it's a giant slide. It's amazing. You have got to try it." Whiskers called up, her excitement evident. Quackers hesitated for only a second before he took a deep breath. "Well, here goes nothing." And with that, he jumped in after his friend. The slide twisted and turned, sending Quackers and Whiskers zooming through the dark tube with squeals of delight. They finally landed in a soft pile of hay at the bottom, laughing uncontrollably. "That was incredible," Quackers quacked, his feathers all ruffled from the wild ride. Whiskers grinned, her whiskers twitching with amusement. "I told you it was magical." As they dusted themselves off, they noticed they were inside a barn, surrounded by curious cows and a couple of clucking chickens. The cows mooed in greeting, and one particularly large hen eyed Quacker suspiciously, as if wondering why he wasn't laying any eggs. From that day on, the slide became their favorite adventure. Every afternoon, Whiskers and Quackers would race each other to the top of the hill, leap into the tube, and laugh their way down to the barn. The cows would always give them a gentle nudge, and the chickens would cluck in disapproval. They were like, "Why are you bothering me?" But Whiskers and Quackers didn't mind. After all, There's nothing quite as magical as finding a secret slide with your best friend by your side. And if that slide happened to be in an old farmer's grain chute, well, that was a detail best left unsaid. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed Whiskers and Quackers. Like I said, wanted something a little more lighthearted. I do want to thank you all for joining me today. I hope to see you again next Monday for another episode of Midday Missing. But don't forget, you can also join our Facebook group, follow us on all of our social media channels, and stay connected and chat with us. And remember, you can catch all of our shows right here on YouTube channel, and you can listen to our podcast on your favorite platform. Now, JT will be live tonight on our channel with the transcripts, and we will both be live for our next episode of True Crime and Wine Time tomorrow night. And guys, we are covering supermodel crimes this week. And I can tell you my case is insane and it's giving lots of P. Diddy vibes to the point I need to find out if my guy and P. Diddy ever hung out together. That's how much it's given me vibes. So I want to stay. Thank you again. And until next time, guys, stay safe. Watch out for each other. Watch out for crime. And as always, enjoy your wine time. It is Wine Wednesday. Bye, guys.